Mom, help! Ivy, always so full of life, called me with a weak voice, panting heavily. She's been immobile, with a fever of 104 degrees, since the afternoon. And not just Ivy, my 5-month-old granddaughter Lillian is also unwell. I was beside myself with worry. Looking at the clock, it was past 7 p.m. I wondered why she had waited so long to call, and when I asked, she gave a surprising response. I asked my husband, Caden, to take us to the hospital, but he went to the bar with his friends. What? You should have called an ambulance before calling me. Hello, Ivy? Can you hear me? The call suddenly dropped. Worried, I rushed to my car and drove to Ivy's house. It's an hour's drive to her place, and all I could do was hope she was okay. I'm Ariana, 55 years old. My daughter Ivy, 28, married Caden 2 years ago. She just gave birth to Lillian 5 months ago. I raised Ivy in a fatherless family after my husband passed away when she was young. We didn't live in luxury, but Ivy has always been tolerant and hardly ever complains. The fact that she called me for help means she must be really sick. What worried me the most was that she stopped responding during the call. An hour later, I arrived at Ivy's house. Using the spare key I had, I entered and found Ivy and Lillian collapsed, breathing heavily and listlessly. Ivy, it's me! Can you hear me? She barely responded with a, yeah, but then could only groan. Ivy's body was burning up, her lips dry. Seeing her mobile phone was dead, I realized why our call was cut off. I'm going to get you to the hospital right away. I called for an ambulance immediately, and soon after, they disappeared into the treatment room. After a while, the doctor came over to where I was waiting in the hallway. Ivy and Lillian are pretty weak. They're starting to develop complications, and if the fever doesn't go down, it could be tough. You should prepare yourself for the worst. The doctor's words were so shocking that I just stood there, stunned, tears streaming down my face. I hurried to charge Ivy's mobile phone and call Caden, but not even a ringtone sounded. No matter how many times I tried, it wouldn't even go to voicemail, leaving me unable to leave a message and just growing more frustrated. How could you just ignore the two of them when they're sick? I kept trying to call every hour, but there was no connection, and the next day arrived. Thinking that Caden would call back as soon as he saw the missed calls, I put Ivy's phone in my bag and waited. Finally, in the afternoon, I got a call from Caden. Hey, Ivy! Where'd you go? I'm home. Get back here and make dinner. I've been waiting for your call. Why didn't you get in touch sooner? Huh? Is that you, Ariana? When I confirmed it was me, Caden's voice, momentarily puzzled, then rough, demanded, What's up? Put Ivy on the line. I can't do that. I'm sorry to say they both passed away. They're gone? Yes. That's great! Instead of the sorrow I expected, Caden's response was shockingly inappropriate. Really, that's just perfect! Your wife and daughter have left this world. What's so funny? Caden's gleeful exclamation at my trembling words filled me with rage. Yet, in response to my question, he blurted out something utterly surprising. Well, you see, ever since we had a kid, Ivy's been so annoying whenever I wanted to go out. Ugh, what a relief. How can you say something so terrible? Caden's cruel words kept coming, cutting deep. She looked sick yesterday, so I ignored her on purpose. What did you say? If I did, she might not make it, right? That's why I went to the bar, intentionally. Caden spoke with such casualness, it was as if he had no heart at all. As I stood there speechless, he continued with more unbelievable statements. The apartment in Ivy's name? It's all mine now. Oh, and that's not all. I get the savings and the life insurance money. Now I can meet any girl I want openly. Awesome! What a despicable person! My head was pounding, and if Caden were here, I'd want to knock him out. I clenched my back teeth and my fist hard to contain my anger. My throat was choked up. No words could come out. When the funeral's ready, let me know. I'll be the chief mourner. Gotta keep up appearances, you know. Having said that, Caden hung up the phone. I was so shocked I couldn't stop my hands from shaking. I found myself sitting down right where I was. I'm not going to let Caden do whatever he wants. I'm going to get revenge for Ivy and Lillian. With a flame of anger burning in my heart, I began to meticulously prepare for my revenge. So, 5 days later, in the evening, I was waiting inside Ivy's apartment for Caden to return. In the meantime, Caden had the nerve to say, "I'm going on a trip with my girlfriend, so can we have the funeral this weekend?" When Caden, fresh from his trip, unlocked the door and stepped into the living room, he froze at the sight of me standing in the dim room. "Don't scare me like that! What are you doing here?" "I've come to say goodbye. We won't be seeing each other anymore, will we?" "Has the funeral date been set finally?" "Before that, I want a proper apology." I handed him an album with pictures of Ivy and Lillian smiling, and to my disbelief, he said, "Cut it out, that's creepy," and threw it on the floor. Not only that, but he kicked it aside, as if it were a nuisance. Seeing Caden's cruel behavior made my anger boil over. And just as I was about to shout, "Enough!" a baby's cry filled the room. Instantly, Caden's arrogant demeanor melted away, replaced by shock. Then he turned deathly pale. "What's that sound?" "What sound?" "The sound of a baby crying?" "It must be Lillian, then." My words sent him into a frantic look around, clearly losing his composure. As if to further torment him, the baby's cry grew louder and louder. Caden finally covered his ears, pleading, "Stop it! Please, stop!" Then, in the next moment, pointing to a room in the back, he trembled violently. "Ah! There's a ghost!" Seeing Ivy come out of the darkness, holding Lillian, Caden began to cross himself and pray feverishly. As Ivy, with a face full of anger, and Lillian crying, slowly approached, he begged, "Please go to heaven! I apologize for not saving you! Just disappear!" Shaking violently, Caden collapsed to the floor, crawling. Why won't you disappear?" "You must have a grudge against you. Maybe it's because of this?" I slammed a photo of Caden and his mistress happily together on the table. "Why is this here?" Caden's hands shook violently. "You said when Ivy and Lillian died, you were happy to see your lover, remember? I took this as evidence." "No way. That's why Ivy is angry." "I'm sorry for cheating. Please forgive me." "You admit it. Then you'll divorce Ivy. And as compensation for the adultery, you'll sign this pledge to pay $20,000 in the divorce settlement." Caden, nodding slightly, signed the document I had brought with trembling hands. Even after, Ivy moved closer to the worthless man who was still frightened, trying to avoid seeing her and Lillian. "Whoa, back off! You signed the divorce papers and the affidavit, didn't you? Look at me, closely! I have a physical presence, right?" "Huh? Both Lillian and I are very much alive!" As Caden tentatively raised his face, he scrutinized Ivy from head to toe, then slumped down, relieved. But in the next moment, he turned beet red with anger and began to rage. Don't mess with me! Don't scare me like that! Lying woman? Think you're dead to trick me? What do you want? After leaving the two of us with fevers of 104 to go drinking, and then blurting out something ridiculous when slightly pressed, you deserve to be punished. This stupid farce. I wasted my time reflecting. The man standing and glaring at me seemed to have forgotten how he had been completely shaken by this farce. And there's Caden, clicking his tongue instead of being glad that both are alive. How low can you get? Ivy and Lillian were in critical condition when they were taken away by ambulance, but thanks to the doctor's dedicated care, they recovered. If we had left them, Ivy and Lillian might have really gone to heaven. It's a pity they're alive. So you're upset you didn't get the savings or the life insurance money. Your nasty personality never changes, does it? I thought maybe you'd reflect a little. You're the worst. Shut up! Hiding and stalking, taking photos, and even lying? I'll sue you. Caden, defiant and ready to counterattack. Expecting this, I told him, "We're the ones who'll be suing. I knew you'd make a scene like that, so I've recorded all of our conversations." Huh? Now we have perfect evidence. Damn it. Caden, unable to argue back, bit his lip in frustration. Then, as promised, you'll pay the $20,000 in compensation in the divorce case. Just take it out of the property division. Our savings account holds $40,000. Half of it is mine, so you're okay with getting nothing? Huh? Caden stared at us, mouth agape in shock. Deciding to knock him down further, I said, "You seem to think you bought Ivy's apartment, but it's rented. So pack your things and leave, please." Ugh, forget it. I'll live with my mistress. Scratching his head frantically, Caden began calling his mistress right before our eyes, but she wouldn't pick up, no matter how many times it rang. Strange, I haven't heard from her since yesterday. I could hardly suppress my laughter as I informed him. Well, you shouldn't be surprised. I filed for damages due to infidelity. Don't do stuff without my permission. She's just as responsible. It's only fair. She even said, "I'll break it off immediately," when you called, so I doubt she'll be in touch again. Caden slumped his shoulders heavily and just sat down on the spot, but we had no intention of offering him any words of comfort. Looks like you've been completely dumped. Now get out! Wait, I'm sorry. Let me apologize. After clinging to Ivy's feet, Caden offered a deep apology. Of course, Ivy ignored his gesture, standing still with a cold look in her eyes. Then, standing up, Caden took Ivy's hand, begging repeatedly, "Please, call off the divorce!" Of course, Ivy had no intention of forgiving this man who had even put Lillian in danger. Ivy shook off his grasped hand, glared at Caden, and then turned away. "I'll be in trouble without a place to live! Please, I'm begging you!" "Don't worry, I've got a place for you to live." "Where?" "From the holding cell to the prison. Be grateful you have a place to sleep." Wait a minute, it shouldn't be that serious, right? I filed a report for leaving sick Ivy and Lillian unattended. The police have been notified and will be here to pick you up soon. This can't be. Even though it wasn't hot, Caden's forehead streamed with sweat, his face looking ready to cry. I'll submit the photos and recording data as evidence. I've prepared the hospital charts, so squirming is futile. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. I'm truly remorseful, so please don't prosecute me. I can't trust a terrible man like you. Caden, who had taken the lives of precious Ivy and Lillian lightly while enjoying his affair, really needs to be scared straight. Maybe he'll have a change of heart behind those dark, tall walls. After all, living people are probably scarier than any ghost. Ivy, help me! You love me, right? After you were after my life insurance money? What are you saying now? My feelings for you have cooled down with the fever. And with that, goodbye. Don't ever show your face to us again. Once again, Caden couldn't stand and was immobile on the spot until the arriving police scooped him under the arms and put him into the patrol car. We will probably never see Caden again. Ivy and I moved out of the apartment and immediately filed the divorce papers, receiving $20,000 as compensation in the divorce settlement. Caden's crime seems to be quite serious, and it looks like it'll be hard for him to step out of prison for a while. Ivy and Lillian are living with me at my house now. The baby is growing up fast and can now stand while holding on to something. She might start walking soon. Despite everything, I'm happy to be able to witness Lillian's growth with Ivy. Having reclaimed our peaceful daily lives, we spend every day smiling.